the Vice Chair, City Councilor Andrea Campbell, and my colleague, City Councilor Tim McCarthy. We are here today to discuss Docket 1433. That's an order from the City Council Special Committee on the Community Preservation Act to hold interviews of the finalists for the appointment of the Community Preservation Committee pursuant to Chapter 4 of the Ordinances of 2017, an ordinance creating the Community Preservation Committee. The City Council Special Committee on the Community Preservation Act is required to nominate 4 persons to be considered by the full City Council for appointment to the Community Preservation Committee. As chair of the committee, I sponsored the docket 1433 in order for the committee to interview the finalists from a list of over 100 applicants. I believe it was 104 to be exact, as recommended by the working group, which was created by an order sponsored by City Council President Wu. The committee held in-depth and transparent interviews on both Monday, November 20th and Monday, November 27th. During those 2 interview sessions, which took the entire day, applicants explained why they wanted to serve on the CPC and described their strengths, their interests, as well as their past work and their personal experience. Further, applicants gave examples of potential projects for CPA funds and discussed priorities for allocation of funding. Individuals discussed community involvement, prioritization of the needs, the transparency of the process, the use of the funds, and the feasibility of the projects. At the end of the last interview, the committee entered into an executive session pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A8, in order to deliberate and to determine the list of the 4 candidates that will be presented to the Boston City Council for appointment to the Community Preservation Committee. During the executive session, the councilors discussed the qualifications of the individuals and considered the factors under the CPC ordinance, looking at demographics, geographic location, and business expertise. After a thorough discussion, as chair, made a motion that the following individuals be selected to the Community Preservation Committee as City Council appointments subject to confirmation by the full City Council. And that is Ying Wang, 493 High Park Avenue, Roslindale, Mass. 02131, for a term of 3 years. Ying has used her legal education in an array of settings, both public, private, and nonprofit. It should be noted that while she applied as a business seat applicant, given her role as an associate counsel at State Street Corporation, the committee redesignated her as someone who is civically engaged and wanted to highlight the work that she has done at Spark Boston in doing what advises the mayor's administration on city policies and programs affecting Boston's millennial population. Also, Madeline Tenna of 1 Parkman Place, Apartment 1, Dorchester, Mass. 02122. For a term of 3 years. Madeline has a humbling story of going from being homeless to homeowner, and has spent professional time working on initiatives that provide affordable housing opportunities and other programming throughout the city of Boston. And then Kanan Theruvagadam of 213 Webster Street, number 2, East Boston, 02128, for a term of 2 years. Kanan's experience of being involved in his community, as well as his work that has been acknowledged by many community leaders and local elected officials. And finally, last but not least, Matt Kiefer, 7 Serena Road, Jamaica Plain, Mass. 02130, for a term of 1 year. Matt's in-depth legal, business, and real estate experience throughout the city and beyond will provide a unique perspective to the CPC, especially during its inaugural year as it gets up and running, and his training and experience and guidance will be immeasurable, assisting not only the chair but the entire membership. So with that, we are joined by, again, my colleagues. To my left, Andrea Campbell. To my right, to my left, Tim McCarthy. Also joining us is Anissa Wasabi George and Council President Wu. So similar to the interviews, the committee would like to provide one last platform for my colleagues who have any additional questions or who were not able to attend the interviews for the 4 finalists, and or an opportunity for the finalists to ask us any last questions before we would move for confirmation at tomorrow's Boston City Council hearing. So, co-chair at this time, would you like to, anything to add? Councilor Campbell?
Hold on as I adjust the new technology. I just wanted to thank Chair Flaherty as well as the working group that put in a lot of work to vet the original applications. We had over 100 folks apply to be a part of the CPC, which is phenomenal. We, from the beginning, wanted this process to be transparent for it to be open and to hopefully get folks to apply who maybe didn't necessarily see themselves either connected to government or connected to certain folks in government. So I'm excited for the 4 candidates before us. Thank you for applying. Thank you for being here. And thank you to my colleagues for walking us all through this process, and thank you to President Wu for her leadership as well, connected to the CPC. But again, thanks to the working group for their hard work, as well as our team members for the work they put in to evaluate all the applications that we received. I will add that this process, we've learned a lot through the process, and so this may require us at some point in the future to either edit the ordinance or add things to it that we didn't think about when we originally drafted it. So we also look forward to partnership with Christine Puff as well as the CPC committee on how we do that as well. So thank you, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Chair, yes, Councilor Tim McCarthy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I was happy to work on helping to pass the CPA, but I really want to thank Councilor Flaherty for his leadership in the role as chair throughout the process. It was a tremendous process. I didn't get to see every interview he did, but the work that the other city councilors put into this and the concern that we've had was tremendous. And so really I just want to congratulate you. I look forward to working with all of you, and I look forward to seeing your work in the very near future. The city of Boston is in really good hands after this process. I'm very convinced of that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor McCarthy. And any questions of my colleagues, Councilor Sabi-George or Councilor Wu?
Yes, I'll just very quickly just thank you all for being here again, and congratulations on your presence here and your selection, and just really appreciated the 4 of you and everyone else that we were able to interview one-on-one. It was a wonderful experience to get to know some of the city's greatest residents, and your investment in this work is incredible, as was everyone else that interviewed. Just really, for me, it gives me a very, not that I didn't have a positive outlook on the city, but to know that there's so much interest in making sure that the city is as wonderful as it is today, but more wonderful in the coming years. And it's the investment of you and your other peers that interviewed through this process as well. So I appreciate participating in that and getting to know you a little bit better then, and looking forward to getting to know you more in the coming months and years. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Sabi-George. Chair recognizes Council President Michelle Wu.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, everyone. I made it to all of the interviews except for the very first one, so I missed out on Kanan's. I'm glad to see you here today. I am sorry also for walking a little late today. Is it okay if I ask a few questions?
Sure, yes, yeah,
I just think it's worth it for us in this public forum to hear again, even though you all have said this already to those of us in this room. So I'll just ask a few questions and then had some comments. But if we could start just briefly, now, especially since you've had time to reflect on it and are at this stage in the process, why do you want to be part of the CPC?
So Ying?
Sure. Just press this button.
Yes,
here.
you're all set. You get it. And once the lights are not working, so there you go. There you go.
Good morning. My name is Ying Wong, and I want to be a part of the CPC because I think it gives a voice to the city's residents. I am a lifelong Bostonian. I'm the daughter of immigrants, and I grew up in the neighborhoods of Jamaica Plain and Rosendale. I received my education through the Boston public school system, and I loved Boston so much that I stayed for college and law school, and right now I'm practicing law as an attorney at State Street in the business industry, as well as serving in the military as a JAG officer. And all the while I've remained very civically engaged through my volunteer work, and it's one of my core values. So for me, the interest in serving on the CPC is just giving back to the community that has given me so much, and also just continuing to show that commitment to seeing the city flourish.
Morning, Kanan.
I want to be part of the CPC because I love the city. I've lived in East Boston for about 7 years now, but in the Boston area for about 20 years. It's a historic city, and we want to keep the history and the resiliency of this community. And in order to retain those, we need to retain the community itself. And there are a lot of threats that the city faces, partly due to our economic advantage and partly due to other reasons as well, like climate threat. So it is important to preserve what we have, and in order to do that, it is important to involve the residents who are part of the community. I'm very involved in the community in East Boston. I'm looking forward to getting involved more citywide and help implement the various program areas of the CPC.
And can I just introduce yourself for the record?
My name is Kannan Thiruvengadam. I live at 213 Webster Street in East Boston. I used to be an IT professional. I went from being a programmer to a manager of a consulting organization that was international and got to work with various cultures and across linguistic boundaries and economic boundaries, and learned a lot from that. But I made a switch to working on climate resiliency in a community organization once I took a few courses in climate science. And ever since then, I've been working in the community with the idea of acting locally and thinking globally. I run a radio show at ZoomX, and I run an urban farm in East Boston. I'm very much involved in the historic activities there. You're all welcome this Friday at 11 a.m. A mural is being opened, Abuelitas and Nonas of East Boston, immigrant grandmothers, at 11 a.m. on the Greenway in East Boston on Friday.
Very good. Thank you, Kannan. And same as, if you can answer the question, also take the opportunity to introduce yourself to the viewing public. Madeline. You got it.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Madeline Tenna, and I live in Dorchester. I'm extremely humbled and honored to be here. I want to be on the CPC because I feel like I've been in the shoes of many Boston residents, whether you were, homeless, or if you've been struggling to pay market rate rent, or if you're a millennial and you really want to buy a house and stay in the city, and you've thought you might have to move out to Randolph or some other place. I've definitely been in all of those shoes, and I've also had the blessing and the opportunity to work with a lot of people on the ground doing direct service that are elderly and could possibly lose their homes, or a young family that needs to find an affordable place to live. So I've definitely just experienced a lot, and I definitely want to be a voice for all of those people, make sure that their concerns are also voiced. And I love Boston. It's an incredibly resourceful and rich city, and I feel like every neighborhood has something special to offer. So I definitely want to give back to the city, and so that's why I want to be on this committee.
Thank you, Madeline. Matt?
Good morning. Councilor Wu, I'm Matt Kiefer, land use attorney at Goulston and Storrs, and I live at 7 Serena Road in Jamaica Plain. As Councilor Flaherty mentioned, I've actually lived in the same house for 32 years, so I'm old. And I guess my motivations are similar to the other, though I should say I've been involved in each of the subject areas of the Community Preservation Act in my, both professionally and also in my volunteer activities in affordable housing, in open space, and also in historic preservation. And I'm the immediate past chair of the Municipal Research Bureau, which sort of has a broader view of the city and the city's health and the effectiveness of city government more broadly. And I think the Community Preservation Act is a really important tool to just help make this a great city for everyone. And I'm really looking forward to being a part of it. As others have said, I've always felt, I guess, an obligation to give back to a city that's given a lot to me. And I think this is an important way to do it. I had a lot of motivation to do this even before I got here today, and I've just had the pleasure of meeting my peers, and if anything, it just makes me more honored to be a part of this with other people who care about the city too.
Which is great. We've also been joined by City Councilor Ayanna Pressley. Any questions at this time? Ayanna,
No,
at the
thank
panel?
you.
Very
Good morning.
So,
Congratulations.
so, do you have any follow-up questions?
Yeah, my
Councilor Wu,
second and
thank you.
last question is just to recognize the difficult position that you are in, the incredible opportunity that we have as a city to be receiving applications and thinking about how to use this extra funding source. But given the vastness of the need and the potential projects that will be coming before you, the types of communities that you are going to be asked to represent across the entire city, what is your commitment to communities in terms of engagement and I guess second part is, what is your advice to people or organizations who are hoping to have something funded before you, if you were to serve?
Yeah, it's working.
And to address your question, I think it's very important in my role to ensure that the benefits of the Community Preservation Act reach every Boston neighborhood in a transparent, fair, and equitable way. And I think for me, I will definitely focus on making sure that it's all proposals are equally considered and given equal weight.
Don't worry about pressing the buttons. As long as the light's on, the microphone's on.
Thank you. So you asked about what advice we have for potential applicants.
Yeah, or what commitments do you make in your role, sort of both of those?
Okay. So the commitment is to the community. And my suggestion for potential applicants would be to do a thorough community engagement before they come up with an idea, because the idea should come out of the community. And they could have meetings, call people, have the meeting be public, and if they have connections, if anybody is proposing any idea, they hopefully have connections in the community, bring those people out, and through those connections reach out to other people and talk to people about what their aspirations are, what their needs are, what their concerns are, and based on that, come up with something that addresses the community need. I think that would be one piece of advice I'd have. And outside of that, of course, people can think outside the box and come up with creative, innovative things to do, which is also welcome, but it should be vetted by the community first. And the other thing I would say is anybody who is proposing anything should connect with other potential applicants, other organizations in their neighborhood who may be thinking something similar, so that they could come at this as a coalition as opposed to a competition.
Thank you.
Madeline again. I'm going to second what Kananwa has said. I definitely think it should be a community involvement process. It should be a transparent process where we give every neighborhood an opportunity to be involved. And I feel like we should also encourage leading organizations within our communities, whether they're community development corporations or an urban farming institute or any type of organizations that are deeply rooted in the community, making sure that they're working together along with the residents to make sure that any proposals and any ideas going forward are definitely coming from the community.
Thank you.
Matt Kiefer, it's nice to go last because good things have been said already. I would just say I think part of what we signed on to is to be really open-minded and not have real preconceived notions about what neighborhoods or what specific kinds of projects are best, really, giving everyone a shot. And I think everyone said some version of that. I completely agree with that. I would also just say my advice to applicants would be to be aspirational but also achievable, to combine those two. High aspirations, but really figuring out how to get it done. We're spending public money here, and you want to make sure that it actually has the effect that people want it to have. So, think it through and show us that you've thought it through and you've actually got a way to do it.
Great. Thank you. So thank you so much to all four of you, and again to the committee chair and all the members of the committee. I trust that our director, Christine Poff, will put everyone through a very rigorous training, and we're always prepared to help with that as well. I would just say my recommendation is the city has already done, under Mayor Walsh has gone through 3 huge planning processes. So if you take the time to become familiar with or even read through the Go Boston 2030 plan, the Imagine Boston 2030 plan, and the Boston Creates plan, that way, at least in transportation, in development, and in arts, you'll have a sense of the multi-year long community processes that the administration has already led is a good starting point. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Any questions that you guys may have of us at this time? Very good. Well, obviously, it was exciting to participate, at least from this vantage point, the various disciplines that folks brought. I mean, the talent pool from the 104 down to 37, down to the finalists, down to the folks that we're recommending for the CPC committee, the energy, the passion, and the love that each of you and the competitors showed for our city was really exciting to witness and to participate in. So we're looking forward to putting your names forward before the Boston City Council tomorrow for a vote in front of the full body, and then hopefully get you ready to go with, partnered with the 5 that come from statutory appointments from the mayor and under the leadership of Christine to start doing great things for the city. So, so as the chair, I'll be making that recommendation, looking for my colleagues to support that effort. And with respect to today's hearing, docket 1433, this committee hearing is adjourned. So thank you for your service and look forward to working with you, and enjoy the holiday season, and Happy New Year to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.